Hello guys, thank you for joining this webinar. The webinar is oriented around cross-company integration. Francis is going to walk you through a demo on how this very integration can be set up by using an example of multiple teams using Jira, Zendesk, and GitHub. But it is not limited to these trackers only. If you're working in ServiceNow or Azure DevOps, for example, the exact same process is also applicable to you. But first, we're going to take a quick look at the principles of a cross-company integration, what it is and why more and more companies are becoming interested in the concept and such like. So stay tuned, because we are going to show you exactly what it looks like in practice. Before Francis joins this webinar, I want to let you know that you can ask any questions you have in the chat tool on the right side of the screen. We'll do our best to answer any questions you might have, but if we are not able to answer the questions straight away, we'll make sure to get back to you shortly. So that's it. Enjoy this webinar and I'll see you in the chat.
Hello there. Welcome to this webinar about cross-company integrations. So what am I going to present to you today is the idea of cross-company integrations, what the good practices are whenever you consider to connect your internal systems with the internal systems of your partners, suppliers or customers, and some ways, things to think about. So let's get started. Yeah. So here you have a slide of work management systems, and there are many in the world today. I can mention a couple of them. I'm sure that you're using it internally to ensure that you have a good grip on what's happening around your projects. With a work management system, you can have a better understanding who is doing what, when, for what reason, and what the status is of all this work. Yeah? And what we can see and what we can measure with Google Trends, for instance, is that the number of searches about work management systems is increasing day by day. It's really an exponential growth for this type of systems. So that's one fact. The second fact is we live in a connected and collaborative world. What does it mean? It is whenever you create a product or a service, you never do it on your own. You will always work with other teams to implement marketing actions or qualify your product or create designs and so on and so forth. So the thing is that the chance that you will have to work with other teams that are also using a different work management system is pretty high. Yeah? And the thing is also that while you add more teams in the development of your product or service, yeah, you will see you're expecting that you have more productivity, and because you scale the number of people who are working on your product. Now, whenever you add new teams, your communication overhead is also going to increase, and the more teams that are involved in your product, the higher this overhead is. And the net effect of this is that your net output per team will go down. Yeah. So you understand, productivity expectation goes up, overhead goes up, productivity goes down. Yeah? And so you have more collaboration, but less productivity. And you know what happens then? People start to argue, like, oh, you didn't send me this task, or I didn't know that I had to do this, or I misunderstood your request, and so we implemented a completely different thing. Yeah, and so people are losing valuable time whenever they have to cooperate. Yeah, and so what also happens is that this information clutter results in business clutter, and business clutter is costly. Yeah, you lose confidence in the other parties, in your suppliers, and the suppliers are losing customers. So, and that's something that you want to avoid. And I'm sure that many of you are copying data from one system to another, from an email into your Jira, or from your ServiceNow into your Zendesk application. And some statistics are saying that 20% of the time is spent in copying data manually. So you might wonder, in this time of computers and digitalization, is this something that we should support? And because we have to stop this, because manually copying data is not a good idea, because you lose this information whenever you copy not all the attachments, or establishing a good overview of the status of your project is almost impossible. So you have to stop copying data. You have to find another solution. Yeah. But how do you find another solution? You first think about, what do you really want? What is it that you want to establish? What are your requirements? And the first requirement of all is that you want to work in your own environment. You don't want to spend some time on one system and then some time on another system. That's not really effective. Also, you want to reduce the friction whenever you cooperate with another team. So that other team will use another system, and exchanging data should be as fluent, as swiftly as possible. Yeah. The third thing that you want is to reduce costs. Because why do you scale to other teams, to other companies? Is because it has a much better cost than if you do it all for yourself. And so you want to waste less time doing dumb things, as we say. Yeah? And the last thing is, in the first place, you want to focus on your project. You want to be sure that all the time that you spend is to advance the goals of your project itself. So now that you know what you want, yeah, you need to know how to get that. Yeah? And so we already know that copying data is not, manually copying data is not a good idea. So what happens is that some companies will say, okay, we have our work management systems, and all the teams that are working on this project will use this system to collaborate. Yeah. But there are reasons not to do that. And so companies who learn that will then try to integrate their work management system with the work management system of the other teams itself. And they will build their own solution. But that has also a couple of drawbacks. And then so the next step is that you will buy a solution for that integration itself. Yeah? And so, so let's dive into these different phases. In the first phase, you will share your environment. So the problem, if you share your environment, is a security risk. So you allow external parties on your system. And what happens sometimes is that the configuration is broke, so that these external parties have also access to the information of your other customers. That's something you want to avoid. But also from the other side, as an external party accessing your environment, if you have like 3 customers all demanding that you work on their environment, you end up with 3 different systems. Each system with their own configuration, own way of working, and consolidating all this data so that you have your own, you can do your own prioritization is a difficult thing to do. Yeah, and so the need exists now to find another way to integrate these systems, and then you have to decide: are we going to build it ourselves, or are we going to buy such a solution? Yeah. Now, let's dive into this then. So first of all, whenever you build your own system, the initial cost compared to the license cost that you would pay for a commercial system will be lower, because you have a couple of people internally who know how to use webhooks and all these interesting technologies, and they can set up a integration in a couple of days or weeks and make it work. Yeah, but then you have to look at the longer term. Yeah. So whenever you roll out this integration, this simple integration, your business colleagues will say, well, is this possible? And you take this into account whenever. And so the customization will demand more work, more validation, and just to be sure that everything is working correctly. Yeah. So that's something that you will see happening. And then the next thing, once that this environment is working as you expect, yeah, what you will see is that work management systems will need to be upgraded because there are security fixes, new features that you want to use. And the moment that you upgrade such a work management system, you find out that the integration is not working anymore. And so what happens is that you will have to adapt the integration. Yeah? But then you find out that this team of people that created the first integration, yeah, they are not available anymore. They have other jobs, they have other interests, and so you will have to start from scratch. And you're really blocked. The whole investment that you did by building yourself a solution will have to be done again. Yeah? And so that's really a reason that you should consider buying a integration solution. Yeah? But buying an integration solution is difficult because you have many different options. And we can name a number, but there are many different options to integrate multiple systems. Yeah? So, but before we move to that, let's take a step back when you consider cross-company integrations. Yeah? So what can you expect on the long term? What we see today already is that companies start to build peer-to-peer connections to integrate with one supplier or with one customer, and that works. And you get more and more companies who are doing these peer-to-peer connections, and they learn that with these integrations, they gain a lot. They gain a lot of efficiency and functionality. Yeah? And so a number of these companies then decide, okay, let's expand our network. Let's expand our network to multiple suppliers or to multiple customers or a combination of them. And so what you will see that these peer-to-peer networks will evolve to connected, to clusters of connected companies. Yeah? So you have one big company connecting to multiple suppliers, and then another company connecting to multiple suppliers, and each of these things are like clusters. Yeah? Now, these clusters will start to interconnect. It's the same story as with the internet. Yeah? It is how the internet was built. These were like individual networks which started to connect to each other. And we do expect the same to happen with cross-company integration. Yeah? So we do see this happening that in a couple of years, we will have a worldwide network of connected companies that work together in a structured manner. Yeah? And that's a bit our vision. Yeah? Now, the thing is with cross-company integrations, yeah, you need other type of features than you have with integrations between systems of the same company itself. So with siloed integration, it is easy, meaning in the same company, it is easy to set up that integration, easy within quotes, because you have full control on the systems itself. Yeah? You can do the full validation, you can roll it out according to your processes, and it will work. Yeah? But whenever you do a cross-company integration, the field is completely different. Because you have no control on the systems of your partner. Yeah? And for that reason, you need other features. Yeah? And what are these features? So first of all, you need flexibility. Why do you need flexibility? As you know, you're connected with two companies. Yeah? You're integrated and it's working fine. And then at a certain moment, your boss comes to you and says, oh, look at this, a really important customer, just integrate with their system. You've been doing that with the two others. But now, whenever you connect with that other customer, you find out that they have completely different requirements. And it's not that easy. And because your solution doesn't match these requirements, you have to revert to another solution which allows you to build that integration. But what do you have then? You have two integration solutions living next to each other. And that's a maintenance nightmare, because each time that you upgrade your configuration, you will have to adapt it on the two sides. Yeah? And that's so you want to merge them. But if you want to merge the two existing integrations into the new system, these other companies will have to change their system also. So that's not a good solution. Yeah? You have to look for a future-proof solution. Now, that's one. Flexibility is one property. The next property is reliability. Reliability is really important, especially in cross-company integrations, but in general, because you don't want to miss updates. So assume that your customer is upgrading their work management system, so you cannot synchronize or so exchange information at that moment. What happens? You want to be sure that these changes are being sent over once that the other side is up and running again. So you don't want to miss a heartbeat. And the third property is autonomy. And why is autonomy important? Autonomy is important because you want to couple these systems in a loosely way. So whenever you do a change on your internal work management system, it has no impact on the integration itself. That's first. Secondly, you don't want that the administrators of the other side need to have access to your system to implement that integration itself. So we have three important features: flexibility, reliability, and autonomy. And that's why we built Exalate. I want to introduce you Exalate because it's a solution built for cross-company integrations. So just to mention, we have quite a bit of customers today, and you can see some quotes of our customers on the slide here. But we do see that by the fact that you do these integrations, you have you need less synchronization meetings. You can handle your tickets in a quicker way, and in this case, they've seen an improvement of 16% campaigns finalized earlier. So, but let me demonstrate the functionality of an integrated environment. So we have this case where there's a Zendesk, a Jira, and a GitHub. And we have Anne, who's support engineer, who's handling customer complaints through the Zendesk. We have Peter, who is a product manager using Jira to manage the development of the product. And then we have the developers who are using GitHub to track all the changes on the product itself. Now, this is a hypothetical example. So this company has developed a funky calculator, and George found out about a problem. So whenever he adds 1 and 3, the calculator is saying that this is 5, which is obviously wrong. So George decides to raise a ticket on the system provided by the company itself. Now Anne and the support engineer now needs to confirm that they are on it, and Anne will then handle the raised ticket. So what she needs to do, because she doesn't understand the problem, she needs to check with Peter, the product manager, what's going on. So she changes the ticket, says it's a problem, and changes the status to open. And now what Exalate will do, it will transfer the ticket from the Zendesk to the Jira. And it does that because a trigger has been defined which says whenever you have a ticket which is in status open and of type problem, send it over to Jira. So you will see in the context of Zendesk that Exalate will pick up the ticket and send it over. And then it also provides you a link to the newly created issue on Jira itself. Now let's access it. And here you do see that all the information that has been raised in the ticket will be transferred automatically to the Jira itself. And you can also see that that there is a link back to the ticket. Now Peter, of course, needs to have some additional information, and he will add a comment on the Jira issue. Exalate will pick up that added comment and transfer it to the Zendesk environment. So let's refresh here. And then you can see that that comment was added. And we'll ask George, the customer, so what was the version of calculator that you have? And find out it's version 1.3. Now that information will be sent back to Jira, and that's sufficient information for Peter to decide that this is a problem that needs to be solved by the development team. Yeah. So what happens now is that Peter confirms that he will send it over to the development team, and then change some field like the component so that Exalate knows that this needs to be transferred. Yeah. And Exalate knows it because, again, there's a trigger which will ensure that that transfer will happen. Yeah. So here you can see in the sync status that the transfer happens from Jira to GitHub. Yeah. And once it's synchronized, a link to the GitHub issue is provided to Peter. Yeah. So now what will happen is that the people, the development team and Deepak will find out about the problem, yeah, and then analyze and see what the root cause of the problem itself is. Yeah. We'll find out, okay, this is a problem that needs to be fixed, and the confirmation needs to go back to Peter, but also to Anne, right? So, Deepak enters a comment. Let's do that. Yeah. So he confirms that it will be patched, yeah, and sends it over to Peter. Well, not Deepak, but Exalate will send it over. Okay, and so Peter will find it out, but also Anne automatically. And so what you see is that you have one issue, and the calculation problem, which is residing on 3 different systems. Yeah? And Exalate will ensure that all the information is being sent over automatically. Yeah? And of course, everyone will keep on working on their own environment, and they will not need to ensure that the information is sent over. That's Exalate's business. Yeah? Now you might wonder, okay, fine, this works fine, but how does it work? And I'm not going to provide you any detail here. There is a white paper available on our site, on exalate.com, which you can download and just read how Exalate is working behind the scenes. It is the Exalate Security and Architecture white paper. Now, how long does it take is the next question that we get. Now, how to get started? Yeah, you first install Exalate on both sides of your connection. So on your Zendesk, on your Jira, and on your GitHub. Yeah? And then you configure the connections. You say, well, this Zendesk needs to talk with that Jira, and this Jira needs to talk with that GitHub. And then this will provide you some basic synchronization capability, which can be customized. You can say, well, I want to also to send over attachments, or custom field values, and so on. Yeah? And then the fourth step is that you start your synchronization. And the fact is that most of our customers are setting up such synchronization in less than 30 minutes. But of course, I'm sure that you have some question marks. So we have our experts who are really willing to help you out and talk about your use case and your requirements. And then just start a free trial to check if this is correct. Yeah? So I hope with this that you will think about stop copying data, yeah, and then just start to sync it. Yeah. Again, thank you for your time. Hopefully you will evaluate Exalate now, yeah, and whenever you have questions, let us know here. Thank you.
As Francis mentioned, ask your questions in the chat box. If you would like to know more about Exalate, you can book a one-on-one live demo so we can show you exactly how Exalate would work for your case. You should have received an offer for this in the chat box already. If not, just contact us for a demo or visit exalate.com. If you want, you can also try Exalate for free. For that, visit exalate.com. Thanks everyone for having joined us in this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it, and let us know if you have any questions we can help with. Thanks again. Have a nice day.